Last year in Leeds was the hardest race I did all season. I remember distinctly wanting to cry at the finish just because it was so hard and I'd given everything. And I wasn't disappointed with my result. I ended up on the podium, but it was just so draining. And I kind of felt like I went into the race with my head in the clouds, where I don't think I was prepared for the course. I didn't know where I was going for the beginning of the ride. I wasn't comfortable with it, and one of my strengths is definitely in preparation and doing research before getting to the course so that I know what I'm doing. I know the turns, I can visualize it. But for Leeds last year, thankfully I had Jess, who was being so helpful and telling me every turn that it's okay, like you don't need to brake, or this turn's coming up, it's a good one, and like the guidance from her. But when I got into the city, I really struggled, and luckily Leeds is a strength-based course, so I ended up still doing pretty well. But coming into this year, we've been here since Yokohama. I think I've ridden the course a lot of times, probably like 3 or 4 times a week, so since we've been here, and I feel like I'm as prepared as possible, which is a really nice feeling to have. And I just hope that I'm prepared for it to be as hard as it was last year. So Gold Coast was an interesting race because I ended up being disappointed because I was so close, but it was a race that I was so happy with, in that I felt like I took a risk and I raced in a different way. I took control of the race rather than kind of ran from behind. So even though I didn't end up winning and I wasn't world champion, it was still, I felt like I crossed this threshold of racing a bit more assertively than what I had, and racing with more confidence than what I had leading up to it. So I think it impacted, but it wasn't necessarily from disappointment. It was like from, oh, like this is kind of a cool feeling, like to take control on the run. And I do run scared every single race because Vicky, like she showed in Gold Coast, can it doesn't matter how far someone is behind, they always have that drive to finish first. And so whenever I'm in the lead, I'm always thinking of those moments where you just have to keep going and pushing, knowing some people might find that extra little bit, and yeah, you just have to get to the line first. So with finishing 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd over the past few years, it's definitely exciting for me just to see that reflection of all the work that we've done over the past years, and have that really kind of smooth trajectory upwards. It makes me feel confident, and it made it so that we didn't really do any huge changes coming into this year, but just continue trusting that I was going to get better, I was going to get stronger, I was going to get more just learn more about the sport. I'm still relatively new, so to try and figure out triathlon more and become smarter in it. I think I've been strong, but I haven't always known what I'm doing technically or tactically. So I think that's a big difference with this year, is just that mentally, physically, experience-wise, it's all getting better, and it's all coming together. So it makes for some good results. For sure, I'm a big believer in that everything happens for a reason, and every moment and experience leads to something that is a good learning experience. So for me, there's certainly been some DNFs and crashes in Abu Dhabi and Stockholm, and I took those as reflections of a little bit of my skills, so I worked a lot harder on that. And then also just there's been disappointments, and all these things I think just drive me more. Like in Rio for the 2016 Olympics, I was really disappointed with my result of 18th, and so that was a really big turning point for me, where it really helped me dial in on what I wanted to achieve and just the type of athlete I wanted to be. And it made me focus not just on the physical components of triathlon, but definitely the mental components, and definitely the what I needed help with was, for instance, the bike, where I wasn't as comfortable. So I trained a lot with my squad, with my coach, with Tommy, and we did a lot of skills in parking lots and things like that. So I guess it's been more looking at the little things as well, and just seeing how that would impact me to give me more consistency and make me more well-rounded. I certainly do a lot of self-reflection from races, and I'm able to figure out, oh, this went well, or this went poorly, but for sure I have a really good support network around me with my coach Joel Filial and also with Tommy, who when we first started doing triathlon and in our first part of our relationship, it was not very easy, and I hated taking his advice, and I'd tell him, "You're not my coach, don't tell me what to do." Like, I wanted to keep like the husbandry separate, well, boyfriend at that time, but now I realize just, well, Tommy knows a lot more than what I gave him credit for in the beginning, and his skills on the bike and strength in like the swim, bike, and run has really, I mean, he's my like not so secret weapon in that we do a ton of training together, and he's very helpful in helping me to get better. And he'll ask me, he'll say, can I give you advice? Because sometimes I've snapped at him, and I'll say either like, okay, which I'm getting better at, or I'll be like, not right now, just wait for a second. I have nerves going into every single race, but I take that just to mean that I care about the race and that I'm ready to race. And also, one of my biggest learning factors from the last Olympics, from Rio, was just that I need to enjoy it. I need to enjoy the process. And I think these races, I've been exploring things. So I go into every race with more process goals rather than winning. Like, of course, I want to win, but that's not what I write down in my notebook before I get to the start line. It's like 7 to 10 goals within the race that I want to achieve, and then that's whether I achieve them or not has led me to the outcomes. And I think also just being okay with, okay, well, this might be a risky move, but like, let's see what happens. Let's see if I can run well off a hard bike. Let's see how much time we can put into the like group that's behind us. And okay, well, if I'm running with someone, like, well, can I play with this? Like, how can I best tactically run this race to have a good result in the end? So I think just all those things combined makes me a lot more relaxed going into races, and also the fact that I don't have to depend on any particular type of race. I feel strong swimming, biking, and running. So if it comes down to a run race, I'm okay with that. The coolest part for me is I wrote goals at the beginning of the season, and one of them was to win multiple WTS races, and that was in January when I just got my planner, and now I've checked that off already, so that was pretty neat.